Usually when we start this deep dive into Miami real estate, specifically that really high-end oceanfront market, we're basically dealing with a shouting match.
Oh, absolutely a shouting match. It is loud down there.
Right, it's loud. It's all about who has the wildest shape or the brightest neon lights or, the branded partnership with some luxury car company.
Right, the branded residences. It really is what you'd call spectacle architecture. It's designed to look incredible on Instagram or to be spotted from an airplane.
Exactly.
But it's not always designed to be lived in. I mean, the priority is the exterior impact, not the actual interior human experience.
Yeah, but today we're looking at something that is essentially the exact antithesis of that. We are heading up to this pristine stretch of Hallandale Beach, Florida.
Just north of Golden Beach.
Right, right, to look at a project called 2000 Ocean. And the documents we have for this deep dives, the prospectus, the architectural profiles, the landscape plans, they make a pretty bold claim right out of the gate. They literally call it a modern utopia.
Which is, frankly, an incredibly dangerous word to use in real estate.
It really is.
Utopia implies perfection. Right. It implies a society that has somehow solved all its problems.
Those are huge promises for a condo building. But as I was reading through this stack of sources for you guys listening today, I realized they aren't trying to build utopia through excess.
No, not at all.
They aren't promising a utopia of endless parties or mega casinos. They're trying to build it through, I guess you would call it a hyper-specific curation.
Curation is a really good way to put it, because this isn't a mega resort. It's a 38 to 40-story glass tower.
And the sources actually vary slightly on that exact floor count.
Yeah, depending on how you count the podium levels and parking. But the scale is substantial regardless. Yet here is the kicker that just stops you in your tracks when you read the specs. It only houses 64 families.
64. That ratio is the very first thing that really grabbed me. 64 units in a 40-story tower.
It's basically unheard of.
Right. In a standard luxury build on the coast, you would expect double or maybe triple that density. You're usually packing people in like sardines. I mean, very expensive sardines, but sardines nonetheless.
Easily. You are usually looking at 6, maybe 8 units per floor in a standard high-rise footprint because developers want to maximize their return per square foot.
Of course they do.
But here you are looking at half-floor or full-floor residences exclusively, and that fundamentally changes the engineering of the building. It changes the lift mechanics, the foot traffic, and really the whole psychology of living there.
It totally transforms it from that busy hotel feel to what the materials explicitly call a private residential enclave.
And that word enclave does a lot of heavy lifting in these documents.
It really does. It implies protection, right? Separation, maybe a sanctuary. And to understand why it feels that way, we have to talk about the architect. Because they did not hire the guy who designs the flashy casinos.
No, they went in a completely different direction. They hired Enrique Norten of 10 Arquitectos.
And for you listeners who follow global architecture, Norten is a major heavyweight. But he's a quiet heavyweight.
Very quiet. He is based in Mexico City. He has been doing this for over 3 decades, but his portfolio is heavily institutional. It's filled with museums, libraries, universities.
He builds spaces for culture, not just for commerce.
Exactly. He's a modernist in the truest sense of the word.
Looking at his profile in the source material, there's a really telling detail that stood out to me. It describes him at 62 years old, noting specifically that he has, quote, no interest in provocation.
He isn't trying to shock anyone.
Right, which is incredibly rare for a star architect. Usually the ego is the very first thing to enter the room.
Oh, the ego usually demands the spotlight, but Norten views himself as a craftsman. He states in the materials that he is committed wholly to the principles of service.
Service over spectacle.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And when you apply that mindset to a high-end condo tower, you get a very different result. You get what the sources describe as pragmatic, modernist structures with clear-cut geometries.
It feels very disciplined. There is no wasted motion in the design. But I do want to challenge this idea of service just a bit here.
Okay, go ahead.
Because usually, when architects talk about service, they mean pure function. Does the door open properly? Does the roof leak? Is the HVAC efficient?
The nuts and bolts.
Yeah, the nuts and bolts. But Norten seems to be aiming for something deeply emotional here. There is a quote in the materials where he asks this theoretical question. He says, when does architecture become something really special?
I love this quote so much. It is the anchor for this entire project.
It really is.
Because he doesn't say it's special when it wins awards. He doesn't say it's special when it sells for the highest price per square foot in Florida.
Right. He says when it surprises you, or makes you understand more about yourself.
That is an incredibly high bar for a slab of concrete and glass. Makes you understand more about yourself.
So how does he actually translate that philosophy into the physical building? Because honestly, that could just be high-level marketing fluff.
I was totally skeptical too until I really dug into the site plan and those solar studies we have. The introspection he is talking about, it comes from the removal of distraction.
Okay, explain that.
It comes from what the perspectives calls the view advantage.
Let's drill down into that view advantage, because I swear every single building on the coast from Miami to Fort Lauderdale claims to have spectacular ocean views. What makes this one mechanically different?
It all comes down to the setback line.
The zoning line.
Right. In coastal zoning, there is usually a very strict line where you have to stop building. It's meant to protect the dunes and maintain a uniform street front.
So everyone's building is lined up like soldiers on a beach.
Exactly. But 2000 Ocean has this really unique positioning. The source material states it is positioned closer to the ocean than any of its neighbors.
So it was grandfathered in? Or is it just a really weird plot geometry?
It seems to be a function of the specific lot history and how that parcel of land was drawn up decades ago. But the real-world consequence is that you are physically jutting out in front of the building line of the adjacent property.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that means your peripheral vision isn't blocked by the balcony next door. You have completely uninterrupted views of the Atlantic to the east and the intracoastal waterway to the west.
So you are not looking into your neighbor's living room, and they certainly aren't looking into yours.
No, you are looking purely at the horizon. And because it is a glass tower, literally floor-to-ceiling glass on all sides, the building is described in the texts as being bathed with sunlight from sunrise to sunset.
That light really is the primary building material here.
It is. The concrete just holds the glass so the light can get in.
That lighting aspect is crucial to the whole utopia vibe. And it seems like Norten knew he couldn't pull this highly specific vision off alone.
He brought in an all-star team.
He really did. The sources mention a pretty stacked roster. You have Kobe Karp on the concept design, who's an absolute Miami legend for navigating these complex coastal sites.
He knows the local codes better than anyone.
Exactly. Then you have Minotti on the interiors, which implies a very specific, ultra-refined Italian aesthetic. And you have Sasaki handling the landscape.
And Sasaki is a massive get for a residential project. They are world-renowned for integrating nature into heavy urban spaces.
They aren't just dropping in a few palm trees and laying some sod.
Not at all. They are doing serious environmental integration. We will really see that when we get into the gardens later.
Right. The lemon trees came up in my notes, and I definitely want to talk about that.
Yeah.
But let's walk inside the building itself first.
Let's do it.
We mentioned the low density, just 64 families. Let's break down the actual units you can live in. You've got half-floor residences, full-floor residences, and a duplex sky villa.
Let's start with the half-floor option. In most high-rises, a half-floor unit is basically a corner unit. Maybe it looks just north or just south. But because this particular tower is a very slender glass rectangle, the half-floor unit here runs the full width of the building from east to west.
Wait, so even the smaller units, and for you listening, I am using smaller with huge air quotes because these are nearly 3,000 square feet.
2,913 square feet, to be exact.
Right, massive. So even these half-floor units have views of both the ocean and the city.
Exactly. You get the sunrise over the Atlantic Ocean in your living room, and then you get the sunset over the intracoastal in your master bedroom. Or vice versa, depending on the specific layout you choose.
That is wild. You aren't forced to choose a view.
No, you get the full cycle of the sun.
That is technically very difficult to achieve in high-density coastal zoning. Usually you are pigeonholed into one perspective. You are the city view buyer, or you are the ocean view buyer. Here, you're just the view buyer.
And that right there is the service Norten is talking about. The architecture is serving the natural light. And then, if you want more, you step up to the full-floor residence.
The big one. The single-family home in the sky.
Precisely. We're talking 5,832 square feet, 5 bedrooms, 6 baths, plus dedicated staff quarters.
Wow.
And because you own the entire floor plate, you have a true, unobstructed 360-degree view.
You could literally just walk a circle around your own apartment and see the entire Florida coastline. from the ocean to the bay to the glowing city lights.
It's total dominance of the landscape. It's hard to even visualize that kind of space up in the air.
It really is. And there is a privacy factor here regarding the elevators that I think is a detail that completely separates standard luxury from ultra-luxury.
Oh, absolutely. Private elevator landings are non-negotiable at this price point.
Right. There are no long shared corridors.